Fala galera, aqui é o Marcelo Forlani e após algumas mudanças no calendário, a estreia mundial do filme G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes finalmente vai acontecer aqui no Brasil dia 19 de agosto. Nós vamos aí conhecer a história de origens do Snake Eyes e como ele se envolveu nessa guerra contra o grupo Cobra. Infelizmente eu não pude ir para o Japão para visitar os sets incríveis em que rolaram as filmagens por motivos de pandemia, né? Você vai lembrar muito bem como é que estava no começo do ano passado. Mas eu troquei uma ideia bem legal com o elenco do filme. Confere aí.
So Marcelo, how you doing, man?
Not bad, not bad.
You got some amazing eyebrows, bro.
Oh, thanks, man.
Me and you could like start an eyebrow band.
Yes, absolutely. Can I ask you, what's your first memory playing with a toy, any toy at all?
This is going to be really weird, but the first toy that I was amazed that my parents allowed me to buy was the Queen Alien from Alien. My brother bought the Ripley in this kind of alien combat suit, but I really wanted the Queen Alien mother. And, you know, it had this like squishy bit at the end and the mouth thing would, and then she would kind of whip the tail. But I grew up playing with toys of that kind of nature, and it just like sparks so much in you as a kid for your imagination.
Both of us, we have Asian roots, and we didn't have as many Asian actors on screen as we were growing up. Mm-hmm. Now we're having this movie, and we're having Shang-Chi, and we had Minari at the Oscars and Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah,
things are finally changing for Asian actors in Hollywood.
I think that's really down to the effect that these movies are having on a global audience. Is that I mean, it's sad to say, but they're getting used to having sort of different ethnicities play big roles. And so I think it's taken many films to get to that point, but it will take even more films of sort of kind of colorblind casting to get to a point where it's kind of normalized, that we don't even have to bring up the fact that, oh, he's a Asian or a Latino actor or a black character, or a black actor. Like, it'll just be sort of like, oh my God, that guy played that amazing sort of character in that film. Like, no suggestion of race whatsoever.
Growing up, yeah, I didn't have many characters I could watch that, you know, looked like me or that I felt represented. To be in this position now, as I'm getting older and seeing, you know, there's going to be kids watching this film and playing with the toys and stuff, I think that's what's important, you know, especially our job is in the entertainment industry, like, you know, to be seen and heard, and I think to represent and to diversify the portfolio. I wouldn't have thought I'd be part of this in this way. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been practicing kendo since I was 7. And
oh,
I
really?
know how hard the job is. How was for you to learn to manage the sword, and how was to work with Kenji Takenaki?
That was my first proper training with the sword, the kendo. It's more that chambara, which is you know, obviously more for film. For those who don't know, the samurai Toshio Mifune, Kurosawa, those legends back in the day. In terms of for this, we were learning the basic, you know, the different cuts with the single sword, and then you add the double sword, which for me was how I would imagine Miyamoto Musashi fought. You know, one of the first dual wielding things. I think there should be a film made of him, actually. He's a badass. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, and to find the movement and the different cinematic Japanese style within that.
We really wanted to make the sword play as authentic as possible. And especially in things like kendo, it's all about keeping movement to the most minimum, the most effective strike, the most effective block, and finish. It's none of this kind of what, because that doesn't do anything. Like, we really wanted to keep it a grounded sense of fighting, and that was down to Robert Schwenke. Swordplay is one of the most dangerous combats kind of created. How do we sort of interpret that on screen? And that's through using these movements, which are really kind of like toned down to a point where it's 1, 2, block up. And you know, I hate when a movie, you sort of have this kind of character do all this sort of stuff and he's like blocking things. It's just like, all right, that's a whole nother world. That isn't the world that we're in.
And how difficult was the physical preparation with martial arts and everything else?
That was terrible. Yeah. You know, I thought I've been doing an action show for the last 4 years of my life, so I will handle it no problem. And I was completely wrong. I remember the 4th day I was in Vancouver. We were doing this training for almost 2 hours a day. I was feeling a lot of pain. I felt like hit by a truck. And I remember I woke up like this, and everything was so far away from my hands, you know? So yeah, it was hard work at the beginning, but then it was rewarding, you know.
How do you compare your role in La Casa de Papel with this world of G.I. Joe?
Well, I think both of them, Tokyo and Baroness, they are very powerful women. It's such an honor for me to play these kind of characters. But I think they are very different at the same time. You know, Tokyo is always suffering. She's always like, you know, in this dark mood. And the Baroness is just the opposite. She's enjoying, she has a lot of sense of humor. She's always like, go with the flow, you know?
Well, the Baroness is very iconic. And what did you know about her before, and how much were you able to input yourself in this character?
To be honest, I didn't know anything before. But I remember when I read the script and I read this super powerful character, and I was like, I really need to do this. I was sure I will have a lot of fun, and I was right. So yes, and then we had these long conversations with Robert, with the director. So we wanted to do something different with her. So that was cool because I didn't know anything about G.I. Joe. So I wasn't feeling that pressure, you know what I mean?
Cobra will annihilate you.
I can tell. You're a little impressed with me. I guess you didn't see that coming, huh?
We haven't watched the movie yet, but the sets look amazing. And you really shot in some real locations in Japan. How amazed were you by those sets, about those locations?
Yeah, we managed to shoot in some very hard to shoot locations in Japan. Very rare for a Western production to be on that, and you know, an honor like for me as I'm half Japanese myself, and I lived in Japan for a couple of years, and to rediscover and properly delve into my Japanese roots, and to return to Japan in a very different place that I was years ago, to make this big, you know, film. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, we filmed in some beautiful locations in Japan, some 1,000-year-old castles and temples, which they really opened themselves through the help of obviously the different prefectures and the Japanese government, and the collaboration between sort of Paramount and the producers. And so to authentically portray these stunning locations as much as possible was really important, especially when it came to filming the scenes in the Arashikage, because it's such a cultured clan, it's such an ancient clan, that you need that sort of that substance behind these locations. And we could only film them in Japan. But it was an absolute must-have, and we were really lucky to be able to do that, because not a lot of productions, one, have the ability, but two, the sheer sort of largeness of this production.
Thank you very much for your time, and let's talk about that band later.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do the dancing brows. Come on, let's go. That'll be a gift soon. So
Cheers, man.
Take care.